Our next speaker is His Excellency Ho Young-an. Vice Minister An Ho-young has been ambassador to the EU for a long time before he was appointed Vice Minister. And I'm very proud of informing you that His Excellency An was formerly Distinguished Visiting Professor of our DIS, Division of International Studies. So it is no better person who can deliver this congratulatory address to our participants. So, Minister An, please.
Well, good morning. Professor Park, Professor Mimi Kim, Rector Paul Denop of Free University of Brussels, Dr. Che, the President of Kiev, and then Ambassador Kozlowski, Ambassador of the European Union. Last but not the least, Professor Kim Se-won. Why did I choose to recognize Kim Se-won last? Because I just wanted to recognize him as a very special person among us. In the sense that, well, in the broad sense today, we are going to discuss a little bit about EU studies. And then talking about EU studies, then I have to tell you that Dr. Kim, he is the initiator of European studies in this country. So what little we understand about European Union and what little we understand about the relations between Korea and then the European Union, I think it will be half as much advanced as we have them today, unless a good foundation has been established by Dr. Kim. So that is the reason why I chose to recognize him last, but certainly not the least. And then let me prepare you for the speech, keynote speech he's going to make just after me. So, well, in a sense, I'm just like John the Baptist to introduce Dr. Kim as a keynote speaker for today. Well, it was with a very light heart and heavy expectation that I came to this meeting today. And why do I say that? Light heart and heavy expectation. Because there are thousands of reasons why I should be coming with light heart and heavy expectation. And then this morning I will be sharing only 2 reasons why I'm telling you that. First of all, this seminar is taking place at the Korea University. And for those of you who do not understand what Korea University stands for in the academic community in this country, well, of course, it has very good reputation as an institution of very high academic achievement, but at the same time, it is quite well known in this country as for the warmth of its academic community. And as Professor Park has just stated, I had the pleasure of teaching at this prestigious academic institution for no less than 3 semesters as a visiting professor. And then I used to teach international trade law. And I told myself, international trade law is a very technical subject. And in a sense, not a very interesting subject. But somehow, my class was always oversubscribed. My class used to be 30 students, but somehow I had to deal with such a large number of students applying for my class. So maybe it is another example of the high academic standard of the academic community here at the Korea University. So that is the first reason why I came with light heart and then with heavy expectation. The second reason is because today we are discussing on the European Union. And then I have to make a confession in the sense that I have very soft spot in my heart about European Union. Why? Because I spent 34 years in the Korean government service. Somehow, I spent a large part of it on Europe-related issues. So because of it, I used to be director for bilateral trade between Korea and then the European Union. And then I had several stints of assignment in Europe, in Paris, when we were preparing for accession to the OECD, in Geneva, when we had the WTO ministerial meeting in Seattle, as well as in Doha, and in Brussels as ambassador to the Kingdom of Belgium, as well as to the European Union. And then I was there at the very crucial moment when Ambassador Kozlowski has already mentioned it, when we had three important pillars between Korea and then the European Union enter into force. To start from Korea-EU FTA, which entered into force on the 1st of July in 2011, while I used to be ambassador there. So it is with, so there will be the two reasons why I told you that it was with very light heart and heavy expectation that I was coming to this seminar. With respect to the European Union, then what I always think is this, which is let us just try to look into what is taking place in the European Union today. And then let us just try to look into the external ambition of the European Union as an entity in the international community. And let's look into the relations between Korea and then the European Union. They will be the three areas where we could be having very fruitful and extensive discussions. I certainly would not going to prejudge the outcome of our discussions today, but at the same time, when it comes to what is taking place in the European Union today, then of course, we have to say the situation is rather difficult. But at the same time, I have all the reason why I feel rather optimistic about the capability of the European Union to overcome the present difficulties they're having within Europe. I always think there are three sets of issues that should be addressed at the same time in order to deal with the economic difficulties they have in Europe for the time being. The first issue would be liquidity, the shortage of liquidity. Second issue would be how to develop institutions, European institutions, so that we could, in fact, do something with respect to the shortage of the mismatch between monetary union and fiscal union. But in fact, I think it will be the question of how to define fiscal union. And then if we come up with certain, say, institutional development to deal with this mismatch between monetary union and then fiscal union, that will be another important subject. But the third pillar would be the competitiveness of European economies. In my mind, those three issues are all interrelated. That is to say, how to deal with the liquidity question, how to deal with the institutional strengthening, how to deal with the competitiveness of the European economies. But in my mind, you cannot resolve any of the issues when you focus upon one issue among them without approaching them in a more holistic manner. When it comes to external, say, activities of the European Union as an actor in the international community, I think we are in fact observing the European Union beginning to take a very important role as an actor in the international community. And I think one symbol to convince us about this changing nature of the European Union as an actor in the international community is the fact that Ambassador Kozlowski here as an ambassador, because before Ambassador Kozlowski, then European Union ambassadors we used to have in Seoul, they used to be officials, very capable officials, but with rather narrow focus upon international trade. But of course, Ambassador Kozlowski has a very broad experience. He used to be Director General for Asian Affairs at the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and very well-rounded diplomat with whom I always enjoy discussions, and I always learn through discussing all different issues with Ambassador Kozlowski. So I think the presence of Ambassador Kozlowski here in Seoul, it will be a very telling example of this expanding role and importance of European Union in the international community. And I think talking about the relations between Korea and then the European Union, I think we, in a sense, are observing a convergence of this growing importance of European Union and Korea in the international community. One example would be European Union. They, in fact, recognize certain actors in the international community as strategic partners. For European Union, they have only 10 strategic partners. 4 of them are found in the Americas: Canada, United States, Mexico, and Brazil. 4 of them are found in Asia: China, Japan, India, and Korea. And only 2 in any other part of the world: Russia and South Africa. And then it makes only 10 of them strategic partners for Korea, for the European Union. So you can see the importance European Union attaches to Korea as a partner. So that is the reason why the age is coming up to further develop the relations between Korea and then the European Union. So without further ado, let me once again congratulate you for this very timely seminar. And then once again, let me tell you that it was with, as I already told you, light heart and heavy expectation that I came to this seminar this morning. And as I already forewarned you, let me just leave the podium so that we could be welcoming Dr. Caeone Kim as a keynote speaker. Thank you so much.
So Minister An has already invited Professor Kim Se-won for his keynote speech. I'd like to add a little bit more. Professor Kim Se-won was a professor at Seoul National University, so he's now Professor Emeritus of Seoul National University. He was also a member of the Monetary Policy Council of Bank of Korea, and he was heading and chairing the National Council on Research on Humanities, Economics, and Social Sciences for 3 years. And then now Professor Kim has set up a research institute which is called World Economic and Social Research Institute, which is shortened WERI. So I'd like to welcome Professor Kim, and it is my really great pleasure and honor at the same time to have him here. The title of his talk is Conditions for Promoting Sustainable Economic Integration in East Asia, with a special reference in Europe's experience. And you have all the text here in this conference page.
Thank you, Mr. An Ho-young, for your so kind words to me. In fact, I wanted to visit Brussels while he was the ambassador, Korean ambassador to the European Union. But unfortunately, he had to leave to be the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Korea. I think the able person cannot stay in one place because more important role is always waiting him. Thank you, Mr. Minister An Ho-young. Good morning, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and privilege to be here, having been invited to deliver the keynote speech for today's conference, which is co-hosted by Korea University, the Korea Institute for International Economic Policy, KIEP, and Free University of Brussels. I think you have the text of my speech, so I will summarize it to meet the time allotted to me. The European Union, as we know it today, is the result of 60 years of progress in economic integration since the establishment of ECSC, European Korean Steel Community. This valuable experience allows us to focus on its implications for East Asian economic integration. By referring to the EU's experience, I especially would like to stress the basic conditions that should be met for successful East Asian economic integration. Since, as you know well, the mid-1960s, East Asian countries have paid attention to the idea of regional economic integration as regional trade agreements, RTAs, began to proliferate globally. The rapid increase in RTAs can mainly be attributed to the perceived defects of the WTO system. Accordingly, many East Asian countries pursue to negotiate free trade agreements, FTAs, with their trading partners. An FTA, as it is well known, is considered to be the first step of economic integration and expected to function as WTO plus agreement complementing the WTO. Of course, an FTA has definite advantages, especially on two counts. First, minimizing the limits on economic sovereignty, and second, reflecting parties' interest in agreement a la carte. Such pragmatic aspects of FTA attract the attention of many countries. Under these circumstances, discussions on the possibility of an East Asian multilateral FTA have been invigorated with the rapid economic growth of a region, along with the growing trend of FTAs in the world economy. Following the economic development of so-called newly industrialized countries, China and India have recently emerged as new global economic powers. From the early 2000s, the East Asian region has been consolidating its status as a key growth area leading the global economy. Moreover, East Asian countries' inter-regional trade dependence has gradually strengthened each year so that their intra-regional trade amounts to 47.4% of their total trade. In addition, the comparatively rapid financial and capital movements across borders within the region are worthy of note. As shown from these examples, East Asian countries have functionally already been progressing towards a de facto market integration. If these countries institutionalize this substantial level of market integration in a systemic way, as did the EU, to accomplish trade liberalization within the region, they could earn even bigger economic gains in the future. Also, if they form a single institutionalized economic bloc, then this could give them stronger bargaining power in leading the world economic order along with the US and the European Union. Therefore, the current discussions for East Asian economic integration are focusing more on multilateral FTAs within the region as an early step to the establishment of a more advanced economic integration. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I would like to raise one key question on a multilateral FTA in East Asia. What are the basic conditions for the success of such a regional FTA? Before speaking about lessons from the European experience, I would like to offer my personal opinion about the reasons why FTA in general do not function satisfactorily. Even though there have been countless FTAs concluded around the globe, only a few of them are considered as a satisfying case in terms of implementation. I assume two main reasons behind such failures. inherited characteristics of the FTAs and the parties' attitudes towards the FTA. At the first step to advanced economic integration, the FTA should develop a more integrated market form. It's a simple process, I think. Without such a sequential development vision over all prospects, the FTA is hard to sustain as a common goal of the parties in the long term. In that respect, as I mentioned before, the merit of the pragmatic characteristics of the FTA in reality faces a dilemma. It is often the case that an FTA is concluded because of the parties' short-term economic benefits or on the basis of diplomatic security strategies. However, such agreements based on short-term gains easily lose their advantages, and it is hard for the parties to make any meaningful progress in implementing them as they are vulnerable to the changes in domestic and international environments. For the institutionalization of regional economic integration, at least two significant elements are required. First, common goals reflecting the honest needs of the parties. And second, institutions based on the parties' determination to achieve those goals. I believe that recently suggested proposals for East Asian economic integration, such as TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, and Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, RCEP, must take those elements into account. Speaking of two elements for institutionalization, I would like to share my views on EU's experience with you. Around 2 months ago, I had the opportunity to participate in Korea-EU Forum held in Brussels. During the forum, the current President of the European Commission, Barroso, presented a proposal for a 3-step program composed of a banking union, fiscal union, and finally, Federation of Nation States. While lots of different speculations for the future of the Eurozone crisis were presented, his proposal reconfirmed the basic principle that should lie behind them all. It was quite impressive to me. Like Jean Monnet saying that crisis brings changes, to me, it seems that the recent sovereignty debt crisis in Europe is strengthening the European countries' will for the economic integration. As you are well aware, the common goal of the European economies is to achieve sustainable peace and stability in the region based on the common identity as Europe, which has been established through history. As seen in the Treaty of Rome in 1957, economic integration aimed to European integration in the long term. Though complicated, the well-organized systemic institutions have functioned in a way to execute common policies for deepening such economic integration. Another examples, there are and there were a number of cases relating to FTAs in Europe. For example, European Free Trade Area, EFTA, European Economic Area, EEA, and Europe agreements, and so on. Most of them were considered to be a prerequisite step to take before joining the EU or supplementary institution to keep pace with European economic integration. In short, all those agreements for freer international transactions are geared to accomplish the common goal of European integration. Ladies and gentlemen, the experience of economic integration in Europe cannot be transplanted into East Asian soil as such. However, we could find some meaningful methodological implications from the European case to that of the East Asian countries and how the approach towards regional economic integration should be made. In principle, at the current stage, unlike the EU, it is impossible for the East Asian countries to discuss East Asian integration, which would mean political integration within the region. For East Asia, it is better to start with finding a more comprehensive yet pragmatic common paradigm to pursue. There will be no doubt that sustainable peace and stability are the common values for every human society to pursue and worth setting up as a common goal for East Asian integration in the long term. Of course, there could be a definite difference of opinion among different countries in implementing detailed measures for the goal. Taking this into consideration, political or security-based approaches are less preferable for the East Asian countries than a pragmatic approach based on gains from economic integration. The Schuman Declaration on the 9th May 1950 heralded the long journey to European integration. As stipulated in the declaration, it is the common market in steel and coal that will make any war become not merely unthinkable, but also materially impossible. Economic integration primarily brings the parties' economic prosperity by promoting the common foundations for economic development and plays a key precondition for consolidating the peace and stability within the region, and an FTA is the first step towards that. Along with the regional peace and stability, sustainable development could be another common goal for East Asian countries. The two intertwined common goals of peace and sustainable development should be the main pillars to support East Asian economic integration. Not only for the East Asian countries, but also for the whole international community, sustainable development is the most precious common goal to pursue and requires the most effort. Nonetheless, decades-long discussions and numerous suggestions among the members of the international community have so far not come up with any effective measures to achieve it. Still, this long-term goal has more crucial implications for East Asian countries neighboring each other in and around the oceans. Environmental management requires more than one country's effort and will. So that being conscious of the purpose, joint actions, and close cooperation in policy-making decisions are needed by the relevant countries. As far as environmental issues are concerned, we cannot help but realize the fact that the whole of East Asia is firmly bound together by common destiny. In this respect, for East Asian countries, economic integration is a means of realizing common goals. For the purpose of sustainable and effective implementation of economic integration, the introductions of appropriate governance and institutions are needed. Appropriate institutions are supposed to eliminate trade barriers within the region on the one hand, and to facilitate mutual cooperation and adjustment in socio-economic policies among concerned trading partners for trade liberalization and sustainable development on the other. Further, one of the most important functions these institutions provide is to operate aid programs for certain local areas for the purpose of harmonious economic development. Given the situation where many East Asian countries are still less well developed, are in the process of transferring into market economy, they should take their time in restructuring the economic system in such a way as to invigorate market functions. That is because market integration is based on the premise of market economy, which enable participants to make gains from opening markets. At this point, I cannot emphasize more the requirement for close cooperation among the East Asian countries through financial assistance, knowledge and technology sharing programs, and also other means to meet the demand of local development and further to achieve the common goal of sustainable development in the region. Today, many renowned experts from the European Union and Korea gathered here for this conference. I hope this event will provide a valuable opportunity for those experts to share the EU's experience in economic integration and result in practical policy suggestions for East Asia. I sincerely wish the success of this conference. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Kim Se-won. Now our opening ceremony is ended, and I'd like to hand over this microphone to the chairman of the first session, Dr. Kim Bak-soo. So the assistants will make the room, and I'd like to invite all the participants of the session 1 to the podium.